Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Bailey and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my favorite Colleen Hoover books. So if you've been on Book Talk, you probably know that Colleen Hoover has been like all the rage for the past year, and of course I hopped on the bandwagon. In 2022 I read all of her books. So from reading all of those and having a little bit of time to reflect on them and change some ratings and change my opinions on a few of them, I have narrowed it down to, to 8 books out of, I don't know how many she has total, maybe around 30 or so, or a little less than 30 books, but I've narrowed it down to, in my opinion, the 8 best that you need to read. So these aren't in any particular order, but I'm gonna just say the book and then my rating for each one. So I'm going to start with probably her most popular book, which is Verity. So this one is so good. I gave it 5 stars and I just really loved it. This is the first book I read by her, and it is a thriller. So most of her books are romance, and of course this has some romance in it, but it's mainly a thriller. It's about this author named Lowen, and she's a struggling author. She goes in for an interview with this guy. His name's Jeremy. His wife is named Verity, and she was in some kind of accident and now she's basically in a coma. She's a really famous writer and he needs someone to finish her books, her series that she's been working on. So Lowen goes in for the interview. She ends up getting it, and she goes to live at Jeremy and Verity's house. And Verity lives at her house. She has like a nurse and she lives upstairs, but she is basically brain dead. Lowen is staying at their house to finish writing the series, and she comes across something that is crazy, and then all of this weird stuff starts happening, and I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to spoil it, but it is insane. I will say that the spice level in this book is probably the most out of all of her books. Not necessarily the frequency, but like the intensity of it, I guess. And so if you're not really into that, I feel like you could still definitely read it and then just skip over those parts, because I feel like it doesn't really take away from the plot. So that is an amazing book. Number 2 is All Your Perfects. I gave this one a 5 stars as well. I guess this is like a sad romance book, and it's basically about this struggling marriage, and they have one last hope, and it is just so good, and trigger warning for infertility and stuff like that. Again, I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to spoil anything, and I feel like it's best left unsaid if you just read it yourself, only knowing that it is so good. I can't decide what is my number 1 favorite by Colleen Hoover, but this is definitely one of the ones that are tied for number 1. Book number 3 is It Ends With Us. I gave this one a 5 stars. And then also It Starts With Us, which is the sequel, and I gave this one a 4 stars. It Ends With Us, trigger warning for domestic abuse, but it is just so good. I went into reading this book, It Ends With Us, without really knowing about it and without knowing like what was going to happen. And I feel like it was better that way, because then I wasn't expecting the like plot twist when something happened for the first time, and you're just like completely blown away, just dumbfounded because you can't even believe it. And so I don't really want to like talk about what it's about. It's just such a good read, definitely a hard read. There's like a little bit of spice in this one too, and honestly there's spice in almost all of her books, but in the same way with Verity, I feel like you could just skip past it if you don't want to read it. And also, other than Verity, they're usually not like super intense, but yeah, like I said, you could always skip past it. But this book is just amazing. Gave me a whole new perspective on domestic abuse victims. And then It Starts With Us is about the main girl character from It Ends With Us, and then just kind of like her life after It Ends With Us. And I think it's a couple years later maybe. I read it a few months ago, so I'm not sure, but it's like in the future, and I feel like at the end of It Ends With Us, I was just kind of like wanting more from the characters, and a lot of people begged Colleen Hoover, like, please give us more of these characters, and so she did. That's why she said she also felt like their story wasn't over, and so that's why she wrote It Starts With Us, and I thought it was just a really great sequel. I loved it. Book number 5 is Heartbones. I gave this one a 4 stars, and I feel like this is one of her less popular novels, but it's really good and really sweet. I feel like this is also a good summer read, like a beach read, because It's set in the summer. It's set like in a beachy town. So it's about this girl and her mom dies from an overdose, I think, and that's at the very beginning of the book. So she goes to live with her dad for the summer. Her dad like really hasn't been in her life. It's kind of uncomfortable. He has a new wife and then a stepdaughter. The stepdaughter is like awesome and they become friends, and she meets this guy. They just have like a beachy summer, but then there's a plot twist at the end, and I think it's a really good and sweet book, and I feel like you could read it anytime. It doesn't have to be in the summer, but if you're looking for a beach read, that would be a good one. Book number 6 is Ugly Love. I gave this one a 5 stars, and it is just so good. It's really sad and heart-wrenching. And also I just want to mention that I think this book probably has the most frequent spice in it out of all of her books. But again, you could just skip over those parts. So it starts off with a girl, and I think that she's like living with her brother in an apartment, and she kind of starts falling for her brother's friend. Well, he doesn't want a relationship, and so it's basically just friends with benefits. He says, you know, don't ask me questions about my past and don't expect a future with me. But of course, it's just a typical, you know, like she can't handle it, she wants more, and then there's just a huge plot twist at the end. It is so, so sad, but so good. Such an amazing story and truly an emotional roller coaster, honestly, but it's so good. I feel like this is one of the books where when you get to the end, you feel like finally find out the thing that you've been wanting to know the whole book. You just sob because it is just crazy, so good. Book number 7 is November 9th. I gave this one a 5 stars as well. This one is about a girl who, I'm pretty sure she lives in LA, but she's about to make a move to New York to pursue her dreams. And the day before she's about to leave, she meets this guy, and they just like immediately hit it off, but he doesn't want to hold her back from her dreams, and so they decide that they're gonna meet with each other every year on November 9th. They don't have any contact with each other, but they're just gonna meet back up, and if their lives ever align in the future, then they'll just, you know, reevaluate from there. But I think they give it like 5 years, and it is just so good. And there's a huge plot twist again at the end. Of course, I feel like Colleen Hoover's books, they keep you captivated because there's always like one thing that you want to figure out, and so that thing is at the end. There's a huge plot twist, and it's just such a good story, and I feel like it goes a lot deeper than what you think it's going to be. And also in November 9th, you get a little bit of the characters from Ugly Love. It's just so good because at the end of Ugly Love, like I wanted more from their story, and so just to see them in that book, it was just so good. Book number 8 is Hopeless. I gave this one a 5 stars as well. This book is, I really feel like it's so underrated. It's just so good. Like I flew through this book. To be honest, I flew through like every single one of her books, but this one in particular, I just could not stop reading it. I could not wait to finish it. It's about this girl who is in high school. I think she's 17, and she meets this guy, and she starts falling for him, but he's like a bad boy, but he's like determined to get to know her, know everything about her, and then you find out he's not who you think he was, and there's another huge plot twist, and it's so, so sad and so, again, heart-wrenching, emotional roller coaster, but it is just so, so good. And I feel like a lot of her books pertain to like real life issues, and I feel like this one especially is like that, and it is just so good. And then I do have a couple of honorable mentions. So the first one is, I guess, kind of like a series. I'll put like a little screenshot right here of like the order that you're supposed to read it in. It's Hopeless, Losing Hope, Finding Cinderella, All Your Perfects, and then Finding Perfect. So I've already mentioned Hopeless and All Your Perfects, and I did read All Your Perfects before I read Hopeless, but I feel like that didn't really make a big difference. But in order to read the novellas, you have to read the ones before it first for it to make sense. I honestly don't really like Losing Hope. That's the novella after Hopeless, and it's basically just like the guy's perspective in Hopeless, but you're getting the same story, and I just kind of found it a little bit boring. I really think I gave it like a 1 star, so I honestly just kind of like skimmed through it just to see if I found anything extra in the book that wasn't in Hopeless. And then the book after that is called Finding Cinderella, and it's also a novella, and it's about 2 of the like minor characters in Hopeless and like their love story, but then it's crazy thing happens and it's a huge plot twist as well. And then you read All Your Perfects, and then Finding Perfect just ties it all together. And Finding Perfect truly is so good. I rated that one a 5 stars. It is just so amazing. I just love Finding Perfect so much. I would highly recommend that. Second honorable mention is Reminders of Him. I gave this one a 4 stars, and I know that this is another really popular novel of hers and a lot of people love this one. And it's about this girl. Something really tragic happened to her and her high school boyfriend, and she went to prison because of it. And I think she was in there for like 5 years or so, and she had a daughter. She was pregnant when she went to prison, and she had her daughter in prison. Now her daughter lives with the daughter's dad's parents. She gets out of prison, moves into the town that her daughter lives in because she has had no contact with her daughter since she gave birth. She's just desperate. That's all she wants, is to get to know her daughter and just to meet her and see her, know that she's okay and be in her life. And she meets this guy in the town, and they kind of have a little thing, but then she finds out Ledger's not who she thought he was, and then all of this stuff goes down. But it is just really, really heart-wrenching and really sad. Also, I feel like as I'm saying this, a lot of her books are sad, but the good thing about Colleen Hoover's books is they always have a happy ending. You never have to worry about finishing the book, closing it, and being super sad. But I really enjoyed this book, and like I said, I felt like it was super realistic and talks about actual real life things that can happen and not just like this perfect little love story. So those are all the Colleen Hoover book recs I have today. Of course, her other books are great as well. I really enjoyed a lot of them. I do have another video tier ranking all of Colleen Hoover's books if you're interested in that. But if you have any thoughts on any of her books or the ones I've mentioned, leave a comment below, because I love talking about her books and just the stories and hearing other people's opinions. But thank you guys so much for watching this, and I'm so appreciative of you being here. Like this video and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye!